All right. All right. So I am talking about on today, are the church doors still open? Visibility beyond the pew. And I hope that you have your pens, your pencils, and your paper and your cell phone, because we're going to have an exit ticket to do towards the end, but we're going to get started right into this. So I want to just touch a little bit with some data by way of analytics. And this is a quote from James Rogers, who is a professor at Texas A&M, and he deals with international law. And he has sort of a spiritual context to his blogs that he does. And this was one that he wrote in Good Riddance with Cultural Christianity back in 2019. So during this time, this was taken from the age of the Jacksonian era, which is from Andrew Jackson, who was the seventh president during the Democratic movement and the Democratic Party. So he had what was called the era of the Jacksonian, or the era of good feelings, which came to an end at about the 1800s to the 1900s. And during this time, women could not vote. They were under the authority of their husbands, the Native Americans. They had settled in Mississippi, and African Americans or blacks during that time, even though we had been emancipated, we were still considered second-class citizens. So there was a lot of inequalities in American society during that time, especially since it was a time period of individual liberties and institutional policy. So the posture of the church at that time was they had what was called voluntary organization, which means that the church could pick and choose how often they would engage in community, since there was a debate about the separation of church and state. But ladies and gentlemen, as we know, and what James Rogers argued was that it should not be the decision or an option for the church to participate in the community. As he said, the church is the family, the church is the city, the church is the nation. So it is our mandate, it is our obligation, it is our right to participate and engage in the world. Listen, we are the theocracy of heaven, and we are the spiritual democratic agents for creative God. So we have a mandate and we have a posture to take when it comes to being visible beyond the pew. So are the church doors open? We want to continue in that. So as you see today, we have to rethink this. And I want you to drop down in the feed if you can answer these two questions. Perhaps you want to say yes, yes. Perhaps you want to say yes, no. Perhaps you want to say, oh, well, I'm still thinking about it. But are you ready to increase your visibility by positioning yourself as an authority figure in the marketplace? Also, are you ready to make an impact beyond the church, where you're packing the kingdom instead of packing pews? If that is you, I want you to answer yes, yes. I want you to say I'm with you. I want you to say yes. All right. All right. So let's continue with this. So here, with this topic that we're talking about, rethinking it, I want to give you this scripture. And you know this. It says that seeing that we have, and I'm giving you the revamp version, but it basically says, seeing that we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power is from God and not of ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the clay. God is the potter and we are the clay. So we need to pray that God will give us a spirit of creativity, molding us and shaping us to be his creative moral agents in the world, so that we can get beyond the pews. All right. And that's 2 Corinthians 4:7. So today, how will I serve you? I want you to know first that I am live. I am liberated, in that where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. So we are a learning community where we will grow and we will show together in this space that we're in. Also, I am interactive. So yes, I am talking, but I love for us to engage. And even though you may be limited to typing, I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear your comments so that we can just engage in this discussion. Also, I am visual. As you can see, you're going to get a lot of visuals. You're going to get a lot of good stuff. So I want you to have your cell phone out to screenshot. Also, I know that this session will be available later on YouTube. And also I'll be in the networking session so you can get with me, but I'm visual. And as you can see, I am empowering as you have been empowered all throughout today. So let's get into this deeper. I'm going to give you 2 ways to leverage your visibility. Also 3 marketplace marketing tips for you as a spiritual speaker, spiritual influencer, and leader. And my takeaway is that you will shift your mindset from packing the pews to packing the kingdom. So I want to give you a little bit of information about me beyond the bio, as I know you have heard, I know you have read, but I just want to give you a little bit of information about me. As you can see, I am a women's empowerment speaker, but I am also a coach. And so women who are on fire for God, like you, work with me when they are ready to activate their personal power in their careers and in their callings. And I've always been working and serving in ministry. I've always served heavily in church, being involved, but I still felt a strong sense of call for marketplace ministry. And it just kind of lined up for me because I found myself connecting with a lot of community activists, a lot of fraternal organizations, nonprofits. And even though my spiritual platform was strong, I had a hard time and I struggled with being able to market myself in the professional world. And so it was that when you heard words such as honorarium or fee or marketing or investment, or when I heard about coaching or consulting or contracts, I froze because I did not really know anything outside of, well, you just keep on serving and working and the Lord will bless you real good, or that my service was a service unto the Lord. But it wasn't until I got niche down and I hired a marketing strategist, I worked with the coach, that I positioned myself for marketplace ministry. And I know that I'm called to that because I know that I can professionally navigate in the marketplace without negotiating my power, negatively negotiating my power in my personal life or my professional life. And so that is my hope for you all today, that you will walk away being able to navigate in the marketplace as well. And so this has lined me up to where I am now as a coach and a podcaster. All right, so enough about me. I want to know who is in this space. All right, so perhaps you are an Ephesians 4:11 leader, which means that you're an apostle, you're a prophet, evangelist, teacher, you may be a pastor, or you are a spiritual speaker, which means that you may not be in ministry, but there is a charismatic component to what you do. You may be a counselor, you may be a therapist, you may be a consultant of some sort, and you have a charismatic plight to your ministry. Also, if you are a spiritual influencer, perhaps you are a bishop, you are a superintendent, you are an associate, you are a designate in your organization. I want to know who is in the space so that I can shout you out. So just let me know who's in this virtual space so that I can greet you and just know who's in the space. I see we have Reverend Dolores Prince. Thank you. I see we have Carolyn McPherson. Yes. Roxanne Charles. Excuse me. Thank you. She's a pastor. Yes. Anybody else? I just want you to drop it down as we move on. Thank you. Leslie Newman. Yes. Yes. Preacher, teacher. Come on here. Okay. Deaconess. Okay. Regina Curry. She's a teacher. That's excellent. So we have a vast majority that's in this space that you see. You have so much influence and impact that you give in the marketplace. So that's good. That is good. And I am so grateful that we all are here. So we're going to also have some key words here that I want you to look at, and that's calling, charism, charismata, marketplace, ministry, spiritual speaker, spiritual influencer, fivefold officers, service. You're going to hear me interchange these words or speak to these interchangeably in this presentation. So I want you to just be mindful of these key words that we're going to have. Also, I know that we have taken questions at the end, but what I want to do, I'm going to incorporate the questions. So if you see this here, can I get a witness? That's going to be the Q&A that we're going to have during this discussion. All right. So let's get into it. First off, we're going to talk about charism and charismata. First with charism. Charism is the root word, which involves charisma, which is the spiritual gift. This is the divine endowment or the energy, like I said, the thrust behind what we do as spiritual leaders, speakers, and influencers. This is the energy, like I would say, or the gift that empowers us to be able to minister and serve how we serve our communities and how we serve our churches and our audiences. So this is charisma or charism that we have. So this speaks to the spiritual gift. Next, we have charismata, which is, you may have heard a lot of times that, oh, this person is very charismatic. Well, this speaks to the how. How does your gift manifest? What is the spiritual influence? How is that gift being projected? What is your flow? How do you execute your ministry or your call? And the beauty of this is that every spiritual leader has a measure of influence. So whether you are a spiritual speaker, you are a leader or an influencer, all of us have a measure of grace that God has given us to reach the world, to reach those who we serve. We all have a measure of influence or charismaticism by way of charismata. So now this is the question that I want you to ask yourself. What is your spiritual gift? And how will you manifest that power in and through you? And I have this scripture here, and you've heard of it. It says that in him do I move and I have my being. So how is it that the Spirit of God, or your charism, if you will, how does that manifest through your life, through the power and how you live, and through you, and how you move in your being? So how does that charismatic influence move through you? And how does that speak to the gift? So what is your spiritual gift and how will you manifest that? Those are the two questions that I want you to begin to ponder through this. So now we're going to look at that by putting in and incorporating two ways to leverage our visibility, because this is talking about visibility beyond the pews. So the two ways we're going to speak to is posture and presence. And if you see down below, I have virtual community. And I want to say that this is an ideal time that the virtual space and the online presence is so in the favor of us as spiritual influencers, speakers, and leaders, because we get to reach people on a broader, and I want to say a global, which you'll hear, on a global spectrum. And so we have to take advantage of this space and that the time that we have now to go beyond the pew, because we can reach so many people in so many areas, in so many ways, that charismaticism, that gift, that flow that you have can reach on a whole different dynamic. So posture and presence is key. So first, let's look at the posture. And we've talked about this earlier. Dr. Wesley, shout out to him, and the few others that we've listened to. Televangelism, the evangelistic piece. Tele being distance, evangelism meaning how we reach out to people. And this is not only how we communicate Christianity, because we preach, teach Jesus. Yes, we do. But also, how do we reach people through faith? Through faith in the power of the Spirit, through faith in the power of just having that faith to believe and to come into an awareness of our spiritual being, of our souls. So this is a time that whether you're a spiritual speaker, influencer, or a leader, we need to think about having that mindset that we are doing televangelism now by way of radio, television, and social media. Also, looking at our audience. Now, I remember growing up, and even when I went to theology school, I learned about, well, in my undergrad years, I learned about the religions of the world. And the teaching was that there are many vehicles to God. But us as Christians, or believing in Jesus Christ, we believe that Jesus is the vehicle to God. But here's the caveat. Christianity is one of the many religions that is part of a global community. So when we talk about visibility beyond the pew and how it relates to televangelism and reaching the world through virtual spaces, we have to realize that Christianity is one compartment of a global space that we reach across the grid. So I want to challenge us that we treat our ministries as a global system, not just for our audiences or the churches that we serve locally, but that we reach a global community that can reach so many souls on a whole different level. All right. And even with this, although the physical doors are closed, still the spiritual doors are open. Just like Dr. Wesley had said about how we have to look at how we're going to reach membership. But if we take a deeper dive into this, it's about the soul. So how are we going to reach the souls? And we have to consider that through posturing ourselves as not just reaching local audiences, but the secular, which is out in the world, and the non-secular audiences, nonprofit organizations, different communities, different types of movements, and those who are trying to serve humanity, your humanities services, your hospitals, those who are in the human services, those who are in the professional. We have to be able to reach all of those audiences. Why? Because think about the pandemic that we're in. People want a message of hope. They want a message of guidance, and they want a message of healing. So we have to broaden our audiences. Also looking at presence, visibility. How are you showing up? How are we showing up as a social media presence? Are you becoming a presence that converts? And this is not just converting congregants or converting members, but also, are you converting where people are sowing? Are you marketing yourself where people, they may never step foot into your congregations, they may never step foot into a church, but are you visible enough that people, they want to connect with you? They want to connect to that God that's in you. They want to connect because you have such a strong presence in how you reach them. And that leads us to the connection. What is the spiritual connection? How are you reaching them spiritually? And I say this because we have to realize that when we connect with people, especially in the church, it's not just spiritual, but we're connecting to them on a holistic level. And I call that down to the cellular level, because we are combating systems. We are combating systems that are generational, emotional, cultural, and even economical and social. So these are a lot of systems that we have that we got to reach down on a cellular level to really speak life and to really speak that message of hope that we possess. So ask yourself, how are you making that connection? Are you reaching them on a cellular level? Also, are you making that virtual connection? And you've heard this throughout today too. What is the connection that you're using, or what are some of the tips or strategies or tools that you're doing or implementing in your ministry that will reach people, that they will be able to see you, that you are an authority figure as a spiritual speaker, as a spiritual influencer, as a spiritual leader? How are you placing yourself as an authority figure visibly? All right. So I'm going to take some questions. I'm going to pause for the calls real quick. And just if anybody has anything they want to say, if we have none, then okay, we'll move right along. But yes, this is all about how you are positioning yourself to the communities that you serve and on a global level. All right. So we're going to move. to the 3 marketplace strategies to increase visibility. And I hope you have, again, your cell phones out, because this is going to be some great information. So, number 1, update and repurpose your content. You may have some sermons or some teaching series that you have done in the past, or, even recently. Perhaps you can package those. Perhaps you can show those, or display those in a Facebook Live, or maybe on an Instagram Live, or even, and I put it down in the bottom, when it comes to doing a podcast, such as taking your sermons, whether you even have special services or highlighted events, taking those and perhaps putting them on Anchor. And on Anchor, it's a software where you can download, or you can talk, record your voice, and you can probably read the sermon if you have your sermon notes. You can record them and then upload them to one of the perhaps audio series such as Spotify or iTunes, just to name a few. But you can actually have your own podcast. You can do a video podcast, or you can just do one from the comfort of your phone and begin to get that content out. Those sermons, those teaching series, those special services. You may have spoken for a women's service, or a men's service, or Usher's anniversary. Any type of special service, or any type of content that highlights your specialty or your passionate topic. You can definitely use that and repurpose that content through, again, video podcasting, or just doing a podcast audibly. Number 2, but I want to give you these suggestions as well. How you can do this too? You can do some challenges. You can do the faith challenge. You can do the fruit of the spirit challenge, that each day you're taking a fruit of the spirit and you're challenging them in that area. You can do a giveaway. You can give away a Bible. You can give away, if you have, for those of you who are spiritual influencers and speakers, if you have brand collateral, such as a book, a free downloadable, or maybe you're giving away a coffee mug with a inspirational scripture, or whatever your tagline is, you can do a free giveaway if they sign up for your email list, or if they attend to your live. You can even do a free consultation, such as meet the speaker, meet the pastor. These are just some tangible ways that you can really connect, because it's going back to that connection piece, that you can virtually connect and also make that spiritual connection. Prayer lines and marathons. I know my mom is she's a leader in the Church of God in Christ, and they have prayer lines and prayer marathons all the time. You can do this to connect with members and just to connect with people, because we're in a time where people want that message of hope. They want hope and healing, and they can get that through prayer. I've already talked about an ebook, or even an online self-study biblical course. For those of us who are engaged daily in our word, listen, the Bible app doesn't have to be the own biblical course, because they have challenges all the time. But you who are spiritual speakers, influencers, you can do an online self-study biblical course. And Keisha K, shout out to her. She can help you with that, how you can set up an institute or just a service of this sort. And this would be a very, very good platform to really boost and to get people, again, to know you visibly. All right. Also, number 2, educate with your content, providing those visuals. Today, they talked about the statistics and the articles. It's good to have data. It's good to have, like they talked about, some learning with the burning. So you don't want to just be out here saying things that are cliches or things that are trending, but you want to be able to have some type of stats or articles to back up what you say. Also, it is good to have polls and quizzes. This is how you can gauge the needs of the people, because I can tell you that when you do polls and quizzes, people will tell you what they want. They will tell you what they need. They will tell you what's relevant right now. And this will help you to be able to make that spiritual connection and be able to set you apart from others who are just in the world that just want to build a cult audience. I do a teaching on that. Client customer audience versus cult audience. But when you have visuals, statistics, and articles, polls or quizzes where you're gauging your audience, this is how you reach people on a holistic dynamic. So educate with your content. Now, if you have your cell phone or later, these are just some of the tools that I use because I am a DIY. And especially for you, if you are a spiritual speaker or an influencer, you may not have a church, or you may not have a team at this time that can do these things for you or to help you with your visibility in these efforts. But certainly these are tools that I use. And as you can see with Canva, I use that to create content. Pexel, I have images. And because this is most of my audience is Black women or African-American women, I do use a lot of ethnic images. Also, we know PowerPoint. I'm sure today you have seen a lot of PowerPoint presentations that really helps with giving you a very polished and strong presence, visual presence. Also, PDFs are good as well. When you are doing your ebooks, when you are doing your downloadable content, that's a good tool to use. Also, Zoom. Everybody mostly uses the Zoom platform and StreamYard. These are two good spaces to host your meetings. If you're having a special service, if you're having a special event, I'm doing a summit. This Zoom is a good platform to use. And for those of you who are into video podcasting, StreamYard is a very, very good tool to use to be very visible on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and it gives you such high quality presence that's brandable and that you can use. So take your screenshot of these tools. All right, now, I'm going to stretch your marketing muscle. Number three, stretch your marketing muscle with the 8 marketing lessons. All right. So you see this, you have to speak their language. And I want to tie that in with 1 and 2, being able to speak their language and marketing the gospel and not the gossip. And you have to, I believe that as the people of God, we have to do it differently. So that means, like I said before, you do not have to negatively negotiate your power. So our verbiage and our language is different, but we have to present that in such a way that it grabs people. It grabs the listener. For example, you might have heard, and I have heard about securing the bag. Well, as a woman of God, I'm going to say it differently. I'm going to say that when you seek God and when you have him and when you know that your faith is secure in God, there's no need to secure the bag. Somebody declared that I am the bag. So you see how I'm using the verbiage. I'm speaking their language, but I'm bringing them and I'm drawing them into another element, an element of faith, a level of spirituality where they can get it. It's so important that we don't get caught up in the what's trending or in a lot of cliches and clicks, because again, we are marketing the gospel. So we don't have to market the gossip, because a lot of people, and it's so sad, the world thrives on negative news. So we have to overcome that by giving them the gospel. So being able to speak their language, but raising the standard, bringing them up to a level of faith that they're operating in the higher self, the higher self. Number 3, don't just focus on getting followers, but create leverage by building an ecclesia. We have, like I said, we are the spiritual theocracy. We are democratic agents for God. So this is not about, again, the pew, but this is about building a community. And how we build that community now is through the online space. So we want to build a spiritual community that reaches globally and all over the world. So it's not just about getting people to join your church or your fellowship or become your client audience, but you want to reach the masses, because it is in our authority to be able to do that. And we have the resources and access right now to do that. Number 4, empower, educate, be yourself, because social media is an escape for most. We all know this. We all know that social media is a place where people are online trying to get all that news. But the Bible says that he that winneth souls is wise. So it's not a bad thing. Social media is not of the devil. You just got to be wise and ask God for a spirit of creativity to be able to use social media. And so with number 5 and 6, going viral is an art and a science, because there is no one size fit all strategy. You have to know what works for you. I believe yesterday, I forget, Lord help me, I forget her name, but she did say how, your way you reach people, or if you have 5 people, the way you reach is going to be different for somebody who has 500. So you have to it's good to get with someone who can help you be able to get that art and that science of how social media works, how data works, how analytics works. It's good to just get that service with someone who can help you with that, because there is no one size fit all. So you have to know where you are. Also, number 7, appreciate every comment in DM. This is another way that you can connect with your audience and with people. If they want to reach out for you, if they send you a message, you can take that message and be able to book a call. Or like I said, meet the pastor or meet the speaker. You can book a call to say, hey, I would love to talk more with you. Let's book so we can talk a little more. And also, it's good in social media to go back and look at the comments, because as people begin to comment, that boosts your post. So if you do a post and you can just take some time to go back and interact with the audience when they comment, it will boost your post and increase you as a visibility figure. My last point is this: don't compare your chapter 11 with someone else's chapter 77. Listen, we are all a work in progress. So don't discount yourself out where you are in the space of visibility. As a speaker, influencer, and a leader, we are all a work in progress. And God gives us a brand new mercy and a greater grace every day. So celebrate yourself. Thank God for the awareness that God has brought into your life, and be able to push that to somebody else. All right. So this is about my time, and I'm going to take questions in a minute, but I want to connect with you. So here are my social media tags, and they're the same across the board, but my preference is Facebook. So you can send me a direct message, and I would love to connect with you. I would love to talk with you further. Also, I do have a podcast, which is called The Nightcap, the high quality show for evolving women, where we converse about purpose. And that is every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would love to have you take a sip with me. And that means sharing purpose, and also possibly to be a podcast guest. Also, for you ladies in purpose, I am having and hosting the She's Got Purpose Global Women's Summit. I would love to have you. If you have your cell phone, do take a snapshot of this. But this is going to be on August 1st from 10 to 4 p.m. Absolutely free to you. If you are looking to grow and scale your business, you can look at that link down there. The link is right there, www.thehealsociety.org/she's got purpose. Again, www.thehealsociety.org/she's got purpose. And I would love to have you in the virtual room with us on that day. So this has been my time. I'm going to take some questions now. Can I get a witness? Is there anyone in the virtual room that you have something to say? And also, if the mediator is here, I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much, Dr. Catherine Jackson. Thank you so much, Francis Campbell. Thank you, Regina Curry. Thank you, Carolyn McPherson Atkins. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tiffany Sturdivant Morrison. Thank you, Jackie Lee. I am so happy that you tuned in. Thank you, Dr. Karen Jackson. For all of you great women, thank you so much. And the church doors are still open. So let's get visible and let's get active. This is my time. Can we be dismissed early, or?
I have a question.
Yes.
So you were talking about a lot of apps to help generate content. Do you recommend any apps or any programs to help keep up with contact, like a Constant Contact or something like that?
Yes, I do. You can use Mail. I use MailChimp.
Okay.
MailChimp has landing pages with what content you have. You can use that to generate leads, to get people to sign up on your email list. You take that email list from there and you nurture it. That's another way how you can build, because some people don't nurture. They get the leads and they're just trying to sell them services. Mm-hmm. But you have to nurture. Begin to tell your story. Begin to tell your story as a woman of God. What area? Speak their pain points. Or like I say, spiritual points. I don't want to say pain points because that's more in entrepreneurship. But speak their spiritual points. Can somebody drop down? That was another activity. Can somebody drop down real quickly? Name a spiritual point or a target. Faith, for example. We need more faith. You can talk about a time when you didn't feel like you were going to make it, or perhaps you struggle with your belief. Lord, I believe, but help my unbelief. You can talk about that. You can talk about peace. Yes, Tiffany. People want peace in their mind. You can talk about healing that's going on in our bodies, or even for the sin sick and the lost. We need a healing in the land. So I'm just saying all that to say that MailChimp, you can use lead pages. You can use Get Response. These are just some email sources that you can use to build your audience. Did that answer your question, Tiffany?
Yes. And it looks like in the chat, people are asking, can you go back to the slide with your conference info? Or if you could you type the actual link in the comment section and people can copy and paste it?
Yes, I shall do that. I'm doing that now. There it is right there. But yes.
Another question for you.
Yes, yes.
So you talked about a lot of different platforms in terms of your presence and how we're out there. Have you seen different types of presence work with different age groups or different types of focus groups, if you will?
Yes, yes. And that is key. Because if I was working with youth ministry, I wouldn't necessarily have the same presence as I would in adult ministry. And that's why it's so important that you know your ideal audience or avatar, as we say, or your ideal client. It's so important that you know your audience and who you serve, because when you do that, you'll be able to position your content, your delivery, your messages to your audience. So if I was with the women's empowerment group, I could talk a little more about love and relationships, or I could address about body image, but my body image presence would be different for us as women than it would be a child. Because a child, you know, they deal with peer pressure, their skin, and just feeling beautiful and making friends. But with us, you know, as we get up in that zone, honey, it get a little deeper. You know, we got a little girl. So it's just different. Yes, Tiffany Mason, she says spiritual growth. Carolyn McPherson Atkins, she said love, agape love. Yes. So these are some pain points that you can use to reach people. And like I said, they will tell you what they want. They will tell you. And really, that speaks to the need. They will tell you. If you just put it out there to them, if you just share and have a level of transparency, you'll be surprised who you will reach. Prayer, yes. Carolyn McPherson Atkins said prayer, yes. And that is so vital for this hour that we're in. She said, will the conference be available for viewing? It will be, yes, it will be available in the group. So when you register for the summit, you will join the group. The She's Work Your Biz Sis group. I have a group on Facebook. It's Work Your Biz Sis. In that group, it will be shown. Also, I will have a YouTube channel. So just stay tuned for that. If you just register for the summit or get on, and I'll put it in here. This is the group that I have. It's a business and professional women group. Join that group and you'll have access to it. Yes, I do offer consultations. If you connect with me, like I said, my area of choice is Messenger. If you send me a Facebook Messenger, I can send you my calendar. I couldn't put everything here on the PowerPoint, but I did put my email in there as well. So you can connect with me for a consultation. Yes, ma'am. I would love to connect with you. if there be no more further questions, I'm going to sign off so that we can network. I will be available in the networking session. But I thank you all for listening and joining and engaging with me.